Hey, sweetie. So I wanted to answer the other question that I got about following your husband's leadership, making it through the hiccups of life. And yeah, I know I've done so many videos. So, of course, I have talked about it before, but, there's nothing wrong with talking about it again. um, the wonderful thing, I guess it depends whether you look at it, whether it's wonderful or not, since women don't seem to choose very well. But for those of us who do choose well, we get to choose who we say yes to. We get to choose who we marry. So, there's really no excuse on why we're not submitting, yielding, following the leadership of the man that we decided we wanted to marry. Okay. And basically, if you look at it in the very fundamental base principle of nature, if a robber came or someone breaks into your house or any kind of an emergency happens, your husband 9.99.999 times out of 10, 100, whatever, is going to try to save your life. He's going to risk his life to save your life. He's going to fight the bad guy. He's going to take the bullet. He's going to put himself in harm's way on behalf of his wife and children. Okay, he's willing to go fight the fight, etc. All right. So just for the fact that he's willing to die for you, you need to be following his leadership, and you need to be doing it willingly, lovingly, admirably. You're looking at him with admiration and awe and reverence, just for being a man. I mean, I literally look at every little detail about us that's different, that makes him a man, and it just makes me smile. I mean, everything. Oh my gosh. I don't know how graphic I want to be. But I'll just tell you. So last night my husband came home from work, and I love just, he comes in, he's got all his lunch bags and things, because I pack him all these things to take with him. And just everything about him, his broad shoulders and just his pheromones, like everything, he smells so good, whether he's wearing any cologne or not. And just everything about him, the hug, the kiss, the roughness of his face, and then he went into the downstairs guest bathroom to pee, whatever you want to call it. And so the door, he usually closes the door all the way, but everybody was either not home or they were upstairs, so the door was cracked open, and I could see him in there, and he was just standing there doing his thing. And then I was just like, it made me just so like, aw. And I'm like, yep, that's my man. He's just a man, and it's just sexy. Everything about a man being a man is sexy. And anyway, so he came and sat down next to me, and we were catching up on some of our little news things that we were watching. And I love, just getting close to him and just, rubbing his bicep, like laying my face against his arm or his shoulder and just smelling him. And I like to just like taste his skin. It tastes good and a little salty. And it's just awesome. So everything, even when he's annoyed or he's frustrated or he's talking in his big daddy voice, or he's, just laying down the law, or saying, basically like giving me a little warning, like, I don't want to be a dick, but I will, you know what I mean? Like, I will put it down. I will give you the belt. I will give you the stick. I will whatever it takes to get things in order. So I love it all. I love all of that. And, so whatever you can look at that, I'm sorry, my allergies are horrible today, that you can appreciate him being a man, is going to help you with just following his leadership. You have to understand that women, generally speaking, 99.999 times out of whatever, are going based off their emotions, about how they feel about things. We do have some logic up there, but a lot of the times it's still overruled by emotion. So your man, more than likely, like the majority of men, really work with it's the left side of the brain, logic, logic and reason. And they are not influenced by emotions, which is why you could be crying your bloody eyes out and say that your heart is, being torn from your chest. And there's actually other reasons why they shut down emotionally, to protect themselves and to protect you, because their heart is beating so fast, it's as if they jumped on a grenade. So anyway, there's a lot more to that part, but they have to be unswayed by emotions so that they can make the right decision for themselves, for their family, for you. So just for all the even basic natural reasons, biological reasons, physiological reasons, your man makes better decisions than you, and he is a good leader. I read a little post about this woman was saying, I've been getting my cycle for 26 years, and you would think by now I would know that when I'm getting these feelings of, nothing's ever going to go right, and, just like this doom and gloom and very like despair and, crying, and, within 48 hours I'm going to have my cycle. That was her little thing. Every woman might have their own variation of that. And I said, absolutely, I totally agree. Me and my daughter have talked about how we can track our cycle, and we know that it's coming, or we know that that's what's going on. And logically, that makes sense, but emotionally, it doesn't change anything. Like, especially me, it doesn't matter. Whatever this thing that's made me cry or made me upset, like, I can't just like get over it. And me and my daughter, she agreed with me. She said, Mama, this is why there's not a female president. And I said, you're absolutely right. So, again, there's another thing that makes it another reason why our hormones go up and down, up and down, up and down. They peak really high, drop really low. We are not even chemically created to make good, sound, stable decisions. Of course we have to make decisions every day and this, that, and the other, but we're supposed to be in charge of the home and the children under the main charge of the husband. He is the supervisor of the whole entire thing, and keeps watch and makes sure that things are going the way they're supposed to be going. So, it's not like you're supposed to be just left to your own, which is why the majority of single mothers, it's just chaos. It's chaos. Things don't make sense. They do things the hard way, this, that, the other. It's just an absolute mess. So for all those kind of reasons, just logically, best we can acknowledge, the man is going to make better decisions, follow his headship, follow his leadership. He's not going to be perfect. Sometimes he might fail, fall, whatever. That's part of being a leader. But knowing that ultimately he's your protector, he should be your provider. But, who knows with the way the market is these days. But, regardless, he's still going to be the one to put his ass on the line for you and for the children. So that reason alone, he's stronger and thinks more logically than you do. And then if you get into spiritual, whether it's Christian or Judaism or even Hindus, what else is it? Muslim or Islam, I should say. Any religion that I know of around the world is a patriarchy. The man is the head, probably because I knew all these things. But anyway, so it doesn't matter. Our value as a human being is equal in the sight of God, but our roles are different, and they are what they are for a reason. And we work together in a hierarchy, and we work together. It makes harmony and not chaos. And children grow up better. They grow up better balanced. They see the roles defined very well between masculine and feminine. Doesn't mean that your husband can't like to cook, or that the wife maybe is good at doing the books, the accounting. It's not like that. It's just the fact that there are still masculine and feminine gender roles, and your husband is the boss of the house. And of course he cares what you think, but he's also going to take that into consideration. But if it's not wise, then he's not going to choose what you want just because that's what you want to make you feel better. So, and all these things take time, over years and years and years of building up the trust that you have in each other. Um, you know, Being young and kind of naive or whatever, it's probably a good thing. The young wife is like, okay, honey, whatever you want, and that's a good way to do it, and maybe he messes up and, oh, that's okay, honey, we're going to try again and blah, blah, blah. And you did your best and it'll all work out, and you be encouraging, take the opportunity to say, you should have listened to me and da, 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 and you never make the right choice. And I mean, it's really the power of your words is a true thing, life or death are in your tongue. And that is a true thing. When a woman builds her house up or tears it down with her own hands. So all those things are true things. So whether he makes mistakes, whether you're spiritual or not spiritual, for natural reasons or spiritual reasons, you're supposed to be following your husband, and you'll be better for it. And I mean, there's just proof after proof after proof. Women are losing their minds out here. They're uncovered. They are on more head med drugs and antidepressant medication than ever in the history of humanity. And they're miserable. They're lost. They're unhappy. And they have all the freedom and liberty and choices to do whatever it is that they want to do. And they're not happy. So, because we're not doing it the right way. We're not doing it God's way. So, that's pretty much what I have to say about that. It is a building process. You build together, and the more you encourage him, the more that you believe in him, the more confidence he has, the more he believes in himself. A man's going to believe in himself regardless. However, it is helpful, which is why we are a helpmeet. It is helpful to have, if you're going to have a woman, that she believes in you and trusts in you. And that does something for his male ego, testosterone, and all that stuff that is very, very important. The male ego is very important. A lot of women want to cut a man down and so your ego's too big. No. Nope. Need to help stroke his ego, build his ego up, and take care of him. Absolutely. I think I talked about the hiccups, something doesn't go the right way or it fails, and you encourage him and you say, well, you tried your best. Other things happen that you are actually upset about, that you're mad about, that, maybe something happened on a weekend here or there, or partying with friends, or, stuff that comes up. Or sometimes men can be irresponsible with money and they bought something they shouldn't have or whatever. You still have to give them the benefit of the doubt that whatever they did, they didn't do it intentionally to hurt you, with malicious intent, that they're human, they're going to make mistakes, and that's still your Lord and Master. That's still your King. That's your husband. And you need to have reverence for him as a king, and as your king. So it's hard, and sometimes you handle things better than other times, and you are allowed to come before your husband and as respectfully and in love as possible express how you feel about whatever happened. Sometimes your man will be willing to hear you out at that time, and other times he's going to want you to wait. And other times he'll just talk to you about it. So it just depends what's happening. It depends what state he's at, but you need to work around him. You need to bend to his will and his timing. He is a man. I'm just telling you, men are different than women. It's just the way that it is. So even in circumstances where I was definitely right and he was wrong, which usually is the other way around, my pastor had told me, give your husband the same grace that God's given you, and that you want God to give you. And God has given me a lot of grace and still does. So, I always remember that, and I try very hard just to express the hurt or frustration about something versus you did this and you're a horrible person, and whatever other things that people might want to say. So how you handle hurt is very important, and neither of you will forget it. So you have to be very, very careful. And also, it will determine how your husband reacts to you. A lot of times they respond based upon our response. You know, if we have come at them pleasantly or respectfully or lovingly, you know, they might still be angry or frustrated or annoyed, but it's going to be a lesser response. You know, what do they say? A soft answer turns away wrath, basically. A lot of good scriptures. Versus you come at them basically attacking and talking a lot of trash and all that. Now you're coming at him as a man, basically, and you don't want him to come back at you like a man. Believe me, that is not going to be pretty. So, yeah, there's been a couple times I pushed my husband too far, and it was like seeing the Hulk come out, and it was actually frightening. Just the amount of intense rage and anger, which he's never ever hurt me, you know, but I was just like, whoa. I mean, it just the complete rage and frustration that was within him was like, wow, it was so intense. It was like watching a Hulk transformation. I mean, and that did shake me to my core, and I was like, wow, you know, because men are they're capable of so much more than they show us, and that's that beast within that they need, actually, in order to be a, what do you call it, a good dangerous man. Like a man that's dangerous, that's under voluntary control, that is a good man. And we just don't see it because they keep it under wraps, under control, you know, the majority of the time. So when we do get a glimpse of that monster that's in there, it's like, ooh, oh my, you know. Ooh. And I realize just working out with him and watching him lift the weights, he lifts the entire rack of things, you know, just stacks weight on top of the weights. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so strong. And then I think, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm talking trash and stuff, you know, which I really don't, but you know, or women be talking trash, and here their man can just like pick them up and toss them across the room, you know, just like grab them with one hand and make you incapacitated. I mean, we really take for granted the strength that men have. It's something. So I just admire all his masculine traits. I admire him being a man. I am grateful that he's a man. I'm grateful he's my man. And I will do my best to suck it up, Buttercup, and to follow his lead. And my whole life, I look at now at this point, since we've been together, since we were 14, you know, together and then married, you know, 23 years old, you know, it's like he's never steered me wrong. You know, he's kept us at a wonderful life. We've made sacrifices so I could stay home, but we really haven't lacked anything, you know. And he's just always provided. Don't worry about food. Don't worry about shelter. Don't worry about, you know, we can go on some trips. We can do this. We can do that. Everything within reason and budgets and whatever, to be smart. But, you know, we have had times where it's go get whatever you want, honey, and things like that. So, I mean, I definitely can't complain about a thing. He's phenomenal. I mean, absolutely incredible. So if there are some things that I'm unsure about, or I'm kind of scared about this venture or that venture, I remember that ultimately, all in all, we are where we are in life because of him and his choices. And sometimes things take risk and bravery and courage that I don't naturally have. You know, that's him. So, yep, gotta trust in him, and that's your man. You picked him, and you chose him, and, you know, God bless you, and I hope that it all works out, because I know not every man's the same, just like not every woman's the same, but generally speaking, they mean well, they want to do well. It's an innate desire within them, if they have a wife and family, to make it work, to provide, to love, you know, and to take care of them. So we have to do our part and be willing and obedient and yield pleasantly to their leadership. I hope that answers your question. All right. Ciao. Mwah. Bye.